I was dropped on my head as a child a lot, so I'm gonna do something really dumb for your entertainment. We're going to see if we can beat Final Fantasy VIII using only items. And yes, this is a shockingly dumb idea. Why? Because it requires tons and tons of grinding, and for those questioning what items we can use, well, there's only a few, and of course, they're terrible and will not be impacted by our magic stat, meaning the damage we deal at the very start of the game, that's the damage we're going to be doing at the very end of the game, and we'll have a very limited amount of options. Now, there are two ways we can start this run, and to a surprise of nobody, they both involve cards and card mod. You see, there are only 5 items in the entire game which actually affect mobs, and only 4 of them even do damage. The problem? There's actually no way to get these items until at least after Dollet. Why? Well, for a card mod, we need at least level 6 boss cards, and no players use them until Timber. The other option is Tool Refinery, but we can't get that until we get Siren. There is technically a third option though, and that is using the card ability. You see, when using card on a monster, you have a 93.7% chance to get that monster's card. The other 6.3%, however, you have a chance of getting a boss card. For example, Bite Bugs can give Alvaret cards, Bombs and Buells from Ifrit's Cave can give you the Krista cards, and the rest, well, they don't really matter, as we can actually get the other boss cards from players by the time we can get the rare cards from monsters. So, we have a dilemma. How do we start this run? Do I mod in Card Mod and Tool Refinery, play normal until I unlock both, and farm cards in Timber, or do I allow the use of card before we go to Dollet? Well, no matter which option we choose, the run is obviously dead from the get-go by normal standards. So if you want to try this run, you can choose any of the 3 options. After all, we're going to see if it's technically possible. So, for the basement dwellers angrily smashing their keyboards now going, duh, obviously it's impossible, you can't get these items before Ifrit. I know. And I politely express my lack of care about your ramblings. We're here to have some fun and to see if we can beat the other 99.99% of the game. So, what option am I going to choose, and what rules are we going to follow? Well, as my statement just, we're going to use the rare card option. Why? Well, it is technically means we don't need to do any modding, we just need to win some fights to learn card, and then the run can officially start. So, rules. Rule 1. All actions taken must involve the item command. I am not allowed to use any other command in battles, such as magic or GF. The only exception is draw for GFs. However, I am not allowed to draw magic. We will also have a small exception for the start of the game. I am allowed to use the card command and attack command before we beat Ifrit. Once Ifrit is dead, however, we are locked to items only. I am also not allowed to grind past getting a card with the attack command. Rule 2. Naturally, this also means limits are totally banned the entire time. Rule 3. I am allowed to junction magic to stats, however, this is entirely limited to refined magic. I am not allowed to use draw points or draw from mobs. Rule 4. Auto abilities are allowed. And finally, Rule 5. If I'm doing a challenge, then so are you. If this video hits 4,000 likes in 7 days after its public release, I'll reward you all with a teaser for my next big challenge, which is already complete, and trust me, it's a good one. So, good luck. So, with the rules out of the way, let's get the GFs from the terminal, ignore Selfie, recruit the teacher, head to Balam and buy a boatload of potions and start learning card at Ifrit's Cave. To do this, I select the 40-minute timer and run around in there grinding the mobs, leaving when the timer is nearly over. Once we get card, we equip it and then just spam it on buells and bombs. Now with them being at full health, it takes ages for card to succeed as its chance improves the lower health a mob has. When mobs are full health, it is a stupidly low chance, sadly. And then we have a 1 in 16 chance when it does work. Our goal before beating Ifrit is 10 Crystal cards. There is, however, a trick involved here where you can essentially force it to give you the rare card, which I actually had no idea about until I just did this run, and I seriously wish I knew about it before. But long story short, once you have 100 of a card, in this example, Buell, you'll get an error saying you can't card, because obviously your Buell cards are totally full, which means it won't even attempt it. Instead, you can keep using card over and over, and the only times it will then succeed are when it would win the RNG roll to give you the rare card, essentially eliminating the random aspect of it, with the only prerequisite being we have 100 of the base mob card, which we naturally got easily during these grinds anyway. During this grind, we'll also naturally unlock card mod and some other abilities. Once we have the 10 needed, we mod them into holy stones and proceed on to Ifrit to finally start the run in full. And hey, bonus, it only took 14 hours. Most of this time though was getting unlucky and just getting Buell and bomb cards. During this step, I also kept selling the magic stones that dropped so I could build up a potion Phoenix down count. Now, with holy stones, it's natural that Ifrit doesn't last very long at all. The fight ended very, very quickly. It did, however, still take 5 whole stones. I think I've totally underestimated this run entirely. I expected these to do a lot more damage to him. And remember, I'm pretty sure my magic stat does not influence their damage, meaning that's the damage Holy is going to do for me all game. Can I get some Fs down below, please? But now, remember, at the start of the video when I said I was dropped on my head as a child and we're going to do something stupid, well, this is where that stupid part comes into play. I know, I'm talking like we've not already done stupid things before. Yeah, never, ever before. So, we have Holy Stones for damage right now. That's nowhere near enough to get us through the rest of the game. And we have beat Ifrit now, which means we lose our card option. This means all we have now is Tool Refinery. We don't have that yet though, but we can, however, prepare for it. So, it's time for a huge card grind. We want Inferno Fangs from card modding Ruby Dragons, Star Fragments from Iron Giants, and Energy Crystals from Allen Oil cards. I want 100 of each of these items. We speed this up by using Card Queen to give us the trading rule of either all or diff, just to ensure we get to farm at optimal speed. Then, we're going to play the Treppy number 1. Also, we're absolutely not going to talk about my insanely embarrassing loss here. Nothing a quick reload can't fix though. But then, I get 100 more of each card as well. Overkill? Absolutely not. This won't even be enough for us. Remember, I was doing 200 damage to Ifrit with Holy Stones. We're limited to playing cards for items, so we either do it now or we do it later. So I figured I might as well just get it done with now and pray to God I don't actually need more items later, but well, yeah, we're probably going to. I know what my luck is like in these sorts of runs. Now, most cards were pointless and terrible, but sadly, the cards we wanted were rare, which means we had pretty much no issue getting all the others, mostly because of the Allen Oil cards for energy crystals. Seriously, I never want to see one of them again. So, now that we've gone from a 12-hour save file to a 185-hour save file, we can move on. Honestly, you'd think I'd get bored of cards, but no. With all the items we got from card mod as well, we can get some okay magic to junction. But really, the only one that's important right now for disc 1 is HP. Anywho, Dalit. Now, naturally, we have no issue with the random fights, but they are wasting my precious items, and each one used means plenty of time later to replenish it. It's at this point as well, I realize I'm a huge, undeniable idiot. I know, I joked at the start of the video about being dropped on my head as a child, and I know I make some pretty damn questionable choices with some of the videos I decide to make. But I really should have tested one teeny, tiny thing out before I grinded all those cards and items. Can you guess what that might be? Well, let me tell you. I should have tested if the magic stat influences items, specifically the stones. Turns out, it does, which completely goes against all the information I found online when I decided to do this run. So what does that mean for us? Well, it means I wasted about 150 hours as we only needed a fraction of what we have. So does this mean it's going to be just like my magic only run? Actually, no. This is still going to be a lot harder because of different rules. Like how we can't draw magic, so our junctions are going to be limited. We also can't use things like Protect, Regen, Shall, Curiga, or even Triple Spam. And of course, no Meltdown. So my damage is going to be much more restricted, and my defenses are going to be a lot worse. Not to mention, I can't just refill my items every battle like I could refill magic before. Early game might be a little easier, but once I get to the second half of Disc 2, things will massively change, and I'll be in a good bit of trouble. For now though, I waste my Holy Stones on the way to Biggs and Wedge with the mandatory encounters. Then, when we get to Biggs and Wedge, we again waste more stones. I do take my time though, as I don't want to accidentally queue up too many Holy Stones and end up throwing them all at Alvaret by accident. I might have been a little too careful though, as it did take a few minutes to get through Biggs and Wedge. Zal is pretty low as well on HP. Once Alvaret spawns, I instantly draw a Siren and then resume my Holy Stone spam. It takes a few turns and Zal ends up all the way in yellow HP, but it does go down after a few rounds. My Holy Stone count is getting absolutely murdered though, as Alvaret was taking about half the damage the normal mobs were taking. And now we have XATM along with a crash! At this point, I should point out I'm playing with the Sooner Mod's new Junction 8 mod launcher, so I can play with some of the cool mods later down the line, but the biggest one is it replaces the annoying B1 and B2 button prompts, etc. with actual PlayStation buttons, so I'm not sure how stable it will be. I will note, however, there is nothing that affects or changes the gameplay or this run in any way on it. Now, XATM is kinda straightforward, as Selfie can drop it in a single stone, and so can Squall since he also has Magic Junction now from Siren. So it's pretty easy to run through the area, even if I did get caught a few times. I'm also not going to risk trying to farm it for AP, mostly because I kinda don't need to right now. Anywho, we get back to Balam with 62 Holy Stones remaining, which is kinda surprising that it took 38 Holy Stones to beat Ifrit, a few random encounters, and the bosses at Dalit. I'm kinda worried I might need to refill my items more than I thought. I'm really hoping I can at least make some decent progress before that happens though, so I can farm cards easier and faster. Next up is a little battle with Ronaldo and 3 Raldos, but it takes a total of 4 Holy Stones to get through it. A nice little easy fight. Next one, however, not so much. We have Diablos to fight, and for this I'm gonna pretty much give up any defense, since he has gravity attacks and I can't blind him to avoid his fast physical. So, I spam Holy Stones until I get hit by Graviger, which drops everybody by 75% of their HP. At this point, I get Zal to use an X potion on Squall, and Squall uses one on Selfie. Sadly, Zal does die here by melee. I could revive him, but to me, that adds risk of more Gravigers and melee combinations. So, I prefer to stop healing entirely and just focus on Holy Stones. Thankfully, he goes down after just a couple more, and we have a new summon. Also, we finally learned Tool Refinery on Siren, which means we can now finally make a few new attack stones, including a few I didn't realize. We get 100 Meteor, Ultima, Flare, Protect, and Shell stones, aka basically all the stones in the game except for Aura, which I could have got, and Death Stones. So what we have right now is basically what we have to work with for the rest of the game. I also don't have the abilities to turn these into actual magic, so sadly no overpowered junctions just yet. I'm also going to lose a bunch of my Ultima stones right now, as I absolutely 100% want Encounter None on Diablos. So it's time to farm some fish on the beach to get it. Sadly, the damage is pretty low compared to what Holy Stones were doing, but at the very least it's AoE, meaning I only need one per fight. Now, as I said, I just want Encounter None. The other abilities would be nice for sure, but we can just learn them from the boss fights we'll have coming up. Then we have hands down 100% the absolutely most insane benefit of the Junction 8 mod manager. There's a mod that stops the dream sequences from unequipping your GFs and magic. This is such a quality of life improvement. I could honestly just kiss the person who made it. Then we get to see Laguna crash and burn with Julia, and I'm not sure whoever first came up with the whole incest thing with FF8. Guys, Laguna is Squall's dad, Julia is Renoa's mum. Laguna and Julia never got together. Squall and Renoa are 100% unrelated. Totally a weird side rant, I know, but I've been seeing this theory more and more often lately, and I just can't help but shake my head at it. Seriously, Julia and Caraway are Renoa's parents, and Laguna and Rain are Squall's. Now, with that out of the way, let's do Garo Garo and Fake President, shall we? Or at least we will right after my most hated section of the whole game, the train bit. Now, the PlayStation icons helps a bit, but the layout is still cursed, making this still a super annoying little puzzle. I really need a mod maker to make a mod that just cuts this section out entirely. Anywho, Fake President gets a Holy Stone to the face, and then Garo Garo needs to die fast because he knows Berserk, and if I get hit with it, then my characters have a chance to hit Garo Garo, which is obviously not allowed considering this is an item only run. So, we hit him with Flare Stones so I can check the damage out, and then we swap over to Meteor Stones as the damage is much higher, which allows us to down the boss in just a few turns. I did get hit, but thankfully it was only an attack and not Berserk, and so the run is totally safe. Also, I forgot to mention, we did get the Angelo card, and I'll be grabbing all the unique cards as we go, but I probably won't show them all just to keep the video length down. But we will be doing the whole Queen side quest and the CC group side quest as well. Now, it's easy sailing until the next dream sequence where I find out the mod for keeping the junctions properly equipped just doesn't work. So now I'm sad. It's okay though, 2 characters with junctions is enough, and I still have the ability to use items on the third, so we can just blast through the mandatory fight with Holy Stones. I use Holy first because they're elemental, so some things later will absorb it, so might as well get them used now. The only exception is when there's multiple mobs, then I use an Ultima Stone to kill them all in one use to try and conserve items. This is only really comes into play at the end section though, as I'm an idiot and didn't use the traps to get rid of most of the soldiers. So I did end up wasting a few items which were unneeded. We also show how much Laguna, Kyros and Ward are best friends by casually throwing them off a cliff. Seriously, if you can't throw your friends off of a cliff, are you even friends? Now though, we have a very relaxing trip to another school. Accept a mission to assassinate one of the most powerful and cruel dictators in the world, and head off to an ancient tomb for a quick fight against the brothers. Up first is a solo fight with Sacred, which ends after just a single meteor usage, which is very nice considering how this fight went in my return damage only run. We also learned HPJ here on Diablos, which means now all 3 characters have a decent HP pool. For both brothers, I use a Holy Stone first, but then realize the HP regen, so I swap over to Ultimate for max damage, since I want to use as few items as possible, and the regen could end up costing me 1 to 2 more items than required. Then it's another easy fight right after with the Iguans. We draw Carbuncle and use Ultima Stones for a fast, effortless win. Honestly though, it is Disc 1 and we're using big boy spell items. It's kinda to be expected until Disc 2 starts throwing a wrench into our plans. As for the final boss of Disc 1, Seifer and Edia, I actually just spam Holy Stones. Yeah, it's kind of a waste because of their lower damage, but Ultima and Meteor Stones are much harder to get and they're going to be a lot more useful later. So I'd rather use the Holy ones while they're still somewhat useful, as they probably won't be for much longer. Now, it's casual time again for a bit. Biggs and Wedge get one-shot by an Ultima Stone, and I don't bother RNG manipulating for Rosetta Stones here, and sadly, the guards at the top of the prison actually require 2 Ultima Stones to get through. And of course, after breaking out of prison, what's next on our dastardly plan for world conquest? Why, of course, it's completely unrestrained access to a nuclear base, which is easier to sneak into than a chocolate factory. We also summon the power of He-Man himself and push a giant freaking missile launcher by hand, because that's just how I roll, and because I ate my veg as a kid. Oh, I also set off a cosmic level explosion inside said base. Not sure how the control console survived, but at least the 3 forced guards didn't. Outside with the BGH, we rain meteors all over the place, and the first one did surprisingly little damage, like kinda weird how low it was, but the second one was back to the usual 300 points per hit, which destroyed the BGH. As for the guards after, well, they kinda got crushed by the 3rd set of meteors, so now another section down and we can move on to the oil boils after murdering all the forced fights in Garden. For the oil boils, I do actually watch my HP here, as I noticed in my return damage run, these guys can actually ramp up the damage pretty fast. I also decide to spam flare stones here, since I might as well work that count down a little. We get hit a few times and we do waste a few items, but they go down pretty quickly. Something that wasn't that quick though was Norg. Now, before this fight, I did finally create the rest of my magic with Refinery, so my HP has had a nice jump, which is good, because if it didn't, well, Zal would have been very close to dying here, as he got poisoned right at the very start of the fight. I mean, sure, I have antidotes, but I don't know, with the way Zal eats hot dogs, it could have been bad food poisoning, so I just leave him alone. I spam Holy on Norgpod until it opens, as the stones don't actually work on the orbs, so I have to just leave them as whatever color they are on. Once Norg's pod opens up, I draw Leviathan before returning to stoning him. Honestly, I feel like this is the 1800s, I'm just casually throwing stones at everything, which is kind of funny, as the game's story has us constantly hunting the equivalent of witches. Oh, Norg is dead, by the way. Now, after some of the CC quest, we go to the next boss, a rematch with the BGH, and this time he hits quite a bit harder. For that though, we use Ultimate on the grunts. Now, BGH might hit harder, but he dies to a few meteor stones, so he didn't actually really get to do anything to me. Now, I feel like here is probably a good point to do an item check, as we're about to enter into the big ol' exploration mode. Currently, we have 24 Holy Stones, 88 Flare Stones, 85 Meteor, and 63 Ultimate. That's obviously nowhere near enough to get us through the rest of the game. Even counting the cards I have left to mod into items, it's still only 100 of each stone, except for Holy. We absolutely can get more though, but for now we're not going to. I'm low-key kind of praying that this is enough items to get me to the Ragnarok, but I honestly doubt it. Like, massively doubt it. Some bosses and optional content is going to murder my items for sure. But hey, it's a dream. Now, we're also not going to get Odin. Why? This is an item only run. That means I absolutely cannot get Odin, as he can spawn in and randomly kill things. That is totally against the rules. Oh, and we read a porn magazine as well. Now, before anything, we're going to go get a Chocobo. This is for my emergency farm later, as it unlocks Chocobo World. Now for this, I will freely admit I am going to use the copy and paste of the Chocobo save method. Why? Well, it's already been done once, it's simply a time save method, so I don't have to spend 4,000 hours farming an AFK Chocobo. This basically works by returning the Chocobo home, getting the items, replacing the Chocobo save in your FF8 save folder with a previous one, and then rinse and repeat to get a bunch of cool items. It also gives us 100 needles, something we'll sadly need later. I'm also not going to allow stuff like ribbon, it's a little too broken I think for this run. Same with auto haste, we won't allow that either. The only thing I'm going to allow from Chocobo World is Solomon's Ring to get Doom Train, which helps this run in kinda exactly 0 ways, and to refill my items. We're also kinda at the point now where cards open up massively. So a lot of these items, we could easily farm from that. I think with all the crazy challenges I've done, especially return damage only, I'm allowed this little time save, right? Now it's on to Bahamut where we fight Raijin and some gods. But this was kinda anticlimactic. An Ultima Stone got rid of the trash and then a Meteor Stone finished Raijin off pretty quickly. The joys of still being low level. In the very next fight, I draw Pandemona, and then use some Ultima Stones to try and end the fight quickly, just out of spite of my return damage run. Now, at this point, we have a couple of things we can actually do. The first is continue on with the story, or we can go try Tonberry. We obviously can't do Odin, for obvious reasons, but Tonberry on the other hand, we can attempt. Can we beat it within the time limit? Honestly, I have absolutely no clue, but we might as well try. Right after we do Galbadia anyway. I want Alexander and Cerberus first after all. This also has one of the best cutscenes in my opinion, where they run through the fight between the gardens. Such an awesome little moment. Now, it's time for the Poochie, and I'm not taking chances here. Cerberus is fast, and with triple, can hit very hard. So as soon as the fight starts, I get each character to throw out a Shell Stone, which proved utterly pointless as he died in just 2 Meteor Stones. Yeah, honestly, I wasn't expecting that one either. I remember him being a bit of a nightmare in my Magic Only run. Although, I suppose my levels are quite a bit lower, and I'm guessing we also got a lucky moment with his level. Mobs can be between 15 levels higher or lower than our party average after all. For it to die in just 2 Meteor Stones? Sir absolutely rolled a low value for his level here. Oh well, onto Idiot and Seifer. Now, me being me, I'm an idiot and forgot to hit record for this fight. Luckily enough, it ended in 3 Meteor Stones and he didn't even hit me. Rip Seifer. Right after this, we have a rematch with Seifer and then Idiot. Seifer again goes down in 2 Meteor Stones, and then with Idiot, we draw Alexander and then get hit by Maelstrom. A pretty freaking nasty attack, really, and it's gravity based. I don't heal it though, as there's not much need just yet, and I don't mind Curse. I'm not using limits after all. She also tries to silence me, but that doesn't work on stone items, so we're golden to just rain fire and brimstone upon her. Took 6 meteor stones surprisingly as well, but hey, now we're on disc 3. Now, we just get to relax until Abaddon as well, or at least that's what I'd like to say. We're going Tonberry hunting. Now, we have to keep the timer here, which sucks for me, and because I'm using the Junction 8 launcher, the game does not have the built-in speed up, which doesn't affect the timer, so no luck there either sadly, so 20 minutes is all we have. Getting the Tonberries is pretty easy and quick, each only taking about 3 minutes. The Tonberry King though, I still protect up while fighting the 20th Tonberry, this way I don't need to worry too much about Tonberry's damage. Since he has a massive amount of HP, I need all the time I can get to damage him, so I don't want to waste time healing. But something weird happened. He actually died even faster than the normal Tonberry did. The only thing I can really put this down to is, once again, we had a massively low level roll for him, reducing his HP by a metric ton. Honestly, I wasn't scared about this fight anyway, I was more concerned about the time limit with just how insanely high his HP can actually go, but this time it was a non-issue. Sadly though, we're kinda at the end pretty much of the chump bosses. Sure, we have Propagators and Abaddon who shouldn't do too much, but after that, we have things like Bahamut, Mobile Type 8, etc. The worst one I'm dreading though is Adele, since we won't be able to use Ultima or Meteor Stones, and we likewise won't be able to put regen on Renoa. Speaking of Renoa, we're going to kidnap her while she's asleep and secretly elope. The problem, well, we left without anybody knowing, and there's only a single path to my destination, and yet the others still somehow got here before me. I'm calling memes, man. Oh, and speaking of memes, we one-shot Abaddon with an X potion. Yeah, I kind of expected him to need at least 2, but no, just instant death for the poor skeleton. Now though, it's time to blast off into space by being shot out of a giant revolver to check out the moon, home of all the monsters in existence, until they all come together to turn it into a giant laser beam, which lets them travel through space. Oh, and we find that the coolest airship in FF history. Seriously, what kind of plot twist was the whole monsters on the moon thing? Does anybody know? Anywho, Propagators. Or, well, a thing, I guess. Like, they all die in just one meteor stone, but realistically speaking, would anybody really expect these to give me any trouble in this kind of run? These things are considered bosses, but honestly, they're just glorified trash mobs and nothing more. And yes, I'm stretching for time right now to show off as many of the kills as I can. And now we have an airship. So let's go on over to Looney Panda for an easy fight with Fujin and Raijin. Right after Bahamut though. I want his damn card for 100 mega elixirs. This is also where I convert basically the last of my meteor items as well. Will we have enough for the rest of the game? No. Anyway, first we have 2 Ruby Dragon fights, which take a few of my meteor stones. They don't really do much damage to me, but they are kinda tanky as my damage is really falling off now for sure. Not to mention, it's forcing me to level up, which means all future fights are going to be a little harder as well. I need to really be careful with my levels from here on. Eventually, though, we get to Bahamut himself. And, well, straight from the very start, he hit me for over 2,000 damage with a melee attack. So, I instantly set up defenses with Protect and Shell Stones. I'm not too worried about his magic, but I am extremely worried about his insanely fast speed and really high strength, not to mention his Mega Flare attack. Once defenses are set up, I get Zal to use an X potion on himself just to get him topped back up, and then with the others I proceed to spam Meteor Stones for rather meh damage, but thankfully Bahamut actually gives me quite a few free turns. he just kind of does some weak magic, and that's basically it. He didn't spam me with melee, he didn't mega flare me, he just used things like Thundergo, which means I could really ramp up the damage without the need to worry about healing. After about 2 to 3 minutes, he even ended up going down. I'm honestly completely unsure why this run is going so much smoother than Magic Only did. In Magic Only, I had access to triple Meteor, and I also had way better junctions in that run. It's honestly puzzling, but maybe one of you lovely viewers can figure out the reason why. And while you're doing that, I'm going to turn into a Looney Tune and head to Looney Panda, because I'm absolutely not going to even attempt Ultima Weapon. Light Pillar would just be hell on earth, and I know I can't keep up with his speed. I mean, sure, I can probably kill him, but the PTSD of the research center from my return damage only run means I'm not stepping foot down there, even if I'm bribed. Anywho, Squall becomes a sorceress's knight, and now we go crazy and loony. Up first is Fujin and Raijin. Now, I duped here and forgot to give Renoa a magic junction, so her item usage was terrible. Luckily enough, Squall and Zal were fine, and because there were 2 enemies, I start off with Ultima Stones until Raijin dies after a few uses. At this point, I get Renoa to use a Holy Stone, while Squall and Zal throw Meteor Stones out. Why did I make Renoa use a Holy Stone? Because Meteor Stones are precious as hell and her damage is terrible, so there was no way I was going to let her go and use a good item. Anyway, after a Meteor or 2, Fujin also goes down. Now, we yeet Renoa out of the party because I don't want Angelo to accidentally come in, and then we carry on to Seifer. Oh yeah, with Bahamut as well, we finally have access to Forbidden Magic Refinery, so I can finally get some Ultima spells to junction, along with a few other golden magics. I also screw myself with getting Meteor Stones now because I turned my Star Fragment into Meteor Magic to junction. And I mod Bahamut's card to get 100 Megalixirs. So, Mobile Type 8. And I'm not looking forward to this fight one bit. Why? Just go watch any of my FF8 challenges and you'll see. The TLDR though, forced party-wide 1 HP drop mechanics, counters, fast hits, etc. Oh, and high damage to boot. Now, I start off slowly, testing each different item out damage-wise with my new junctions. Meteor is still technically the best, but it hits the pods as well, so it can either do great damage to the body, or next to nothing. The pods are also basically invincible or close enough to it anyway. We only care about damaging the body itself, while slowly taking my time making sure somebody at least has a turn available ready to Megalixir when the boss uses Corona. We slowly whittle it down with Ultima Stones, which are doing about 4,000 damage to the body. Not exactly amazing, but I suppose it's not terrible either. Eventually, the pods do come off, which took a little longer than I expected, and I get hit by Corona. Luckily, because I was playing carefully, I had Irvine ready to use a Megalixir, since, let's be honest, being at 1 HP on everybody isn't exactly a safe thing. Turns out though, it was actually kinda entirely unneeded, as just 1 more Ultima Stone actually ended the fight. We got a pretty lucky pattern here, to be honest. Mobile Type 8 can either be an absolute ball ache, or a breeze. We got the breeze version today, which means I'm going to suffer the next time I play this game. Now, let's go drop some meteors on Seifer, and that's exactly what we did for 50 seconds. That's right, just 50 seconds. He only survived 2 of them. He does also do a decent amount of damage, hitting me for over 700 damage with a fire spell. Pretty impressive for him, but ultimately throwing stones which summon even bigger stones from space just proved to be too much for him to handle. I'm not sad about a fast boss here though, because now we have hands down the worst nightmare boss, Adele. Ultima and Meteor are total no-goes. I need to keep healing Renoa while Adele is healing herself by draining Renoa. So, to start with, I throw a Shell Stone on Renoa, as this way Adele will only drain about 200 HP instead of nearly 600. This also means I can take more turns hurting Adele before I need to heal Rinoa. I do, however, also throw an X potion on Rinoa right after Shell, just to make sure she's totally full HP. Then, in my infinite wisdom, I use a Holy Stone on Adele, who absorbs holy damage. Like I said at the start of the video, I'm not super smart. So instead, we start spamming Flare Stones for about 2,200 damage each. Now, we don't really need to worry about our own safety here. Adele is pretty low level, which means her damage isn't amazing, and even if I end up low, I can throw Mega Elixir out. So I just sit there spamming Flare Stones, and after about a minute 30, she dies. It's so nice to have an easy Adele fight. PTSD from literally every other challenge is a thing here. Anywho, the 13 Sorceresses are honestly a meme fight, but Ultima Stones for the pairs, Meteor Stones for the final one. Again, no danger and a super easy win, is what I would like to say. But the final one actually hurts quite a lot. 1,500 damage from melee attacks and over 2,000 for Ultima. So I did have to break out the Mega Elixirs for safety. And now, Ultimicia's castle, which of course means we need to unlock the item command. Seen my other FF8 runs? You know what that means. It's time for the auto potion and return damage combination on Red Giant. I know, I'm bored of it as well, but I can't make any action in fights, so return damage is the only thing we can actually do. If you've seen my other challenges, let me break it down for you. It takes over 3 hours. Yes, 3 hours. And all we do? Sit there. Literally. Auto Potion heals us, and return damage returns a fraction of the damage he deals to us. AKA, we just AFK the entire boss for 3 hours. I also only have 2 sets of Auto Potion, as we absolutely 100% can't beat Jumbo Cactus. So Irvine dies pretty damn quickly. What you're watching right now, by the way, is the fight in ×8 speed. Yeah, this is running 8 times faster, and you can still see how slow it is. Anyway, once it's dead, we can unlock the item command. Now we need to leave to actually revive Irvine and heal. After this, we head in to fight Sphinx and throw Meteor Stones to kill it quickly. And this gives us the ability to unlock Resurrection. So now I can revive if needed. And yeah, Sphinx didn't even get to hit me. It summoned a mob, but that's it. Now though, I throw Ultima on Elemental Defense and go to fight Tiamat. With 100% Elemental Defense, Tiamat literally can't hurt us, as it only has 1 attack and it's Elemental. AKA, we're 100% getting this win. And also, it only took a few Meteor Stones, but now with that we can unlock the save command. So now let's head to Ultemicia, save outside and head on in for the fight. And for once, we actually got lucky here. I start with Zal and Irvine right off the bat, which is a freaking miracle. Usually, I never get the characters that I want. So, I shell them first while Ultimicia meltdowns Zal, so he's weak now, and also kills off the 3rd character, who is replaced with Rinoa. No good. So, I start spamming Meteor Stones, and phase 1 ends in 2 turns. As for phase 2, I get hurt pretty badly, and Zal gets doomed, so Mega Elixirs start to come out, but before we end the phase with a few more Meteor Stones, thankfully, Mega Elixir also cures debuffs, so that's a nice benefit for me. Phase 3 gets, you guessed it, more Meteor Stones, and Rinoa finally buggers off, but still no Squall. After a little bit, she summons the Helixes as well, so Meteor now is kinda useless, so it's time for Ultima instead. Now, with Christie's dead, that means we're going to finally get Squall here. It only took 3 full phases though, but hey, my party is finally complete and the Helixes are gone now as well, which means we can go back to spamming Meteor Stones, which pushes us through to the next and final phase. This is where we need to be careful though, as it's the return of 1 HP mechanics, which means I need to also keep a character ready to Mega Elixir, or I'm gonna die, as she likes to AoE right after dropping me, which you can even see right at the start of the fight. But I'll let you enjoy the final phase. I will say though, outside of the card grind needed at the start, this was a hella easy run in fairness. Much easier than I was actually ever expecting it to be. It's gone a lot like the magic only run I did, only for some reason it feels easier. In fact, we spent over 180 hours before Dollet, and to complete this challenge as a whole, it was a little over 220 hours, meaning we did the entire rest of the game in 30 to 40 hours using just items. That's pretty crazy to me, but I suppose FF8 level scaling mobs really help with that, and likewise, we did kinda have Ultima and Meteor. Granted, the only attack items in the game are the most powerful, but really, outside of a few moments, it was pretty easy, which I actually expected once I found out that our magic stat influences the stone damage. From that point, I kinda figured how this run would go. Sorta. But hey, we beat Final Fantasy VIII using only items. So now I'm absolutely not touching FF8 for a while. But let me ask you guys, what's the next challenge I should do? Drop a comment letting me know, and while you're down there, make sure to hit the like button and check out some of my super cool links in the description. Or maybe help a lonely guy out and come talk to me in Discord. I just really want some friends, okay? Until next time though, everybody, thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.